Hi and welcome to this tutorial. If you watched the previous tutorial, you know that it's time to try Ubuntu side by side with Windows. What will happen is that the install program will split your hard drive in two pieces. One partition for the Windows system and one partition for the Linux system. Yes, hard drive have partition, and inside partition you store the data. This process to split the hard drive is not completely safe, so take a backup of your data in the Windows system, because the installation can fail and you could end up with a hard drive which is not readable. There is, however, one thing you could do to reduce the risk of problem. When a friend to me have problem with splitting the hard drive, the most obvious problem is normally that the hard drive is fragmented. That is because they not have run defrag for a while, and that means that the process of splitting the hard drive is much more complicated to do. So we should start by simply scan and defrag the hard drive. Hard drive, good. This process of defragging the hard drive takes some time, so we're doing a time skip here. And there is the defragmentation finish. Time to start the installation. If you watch the tutorial about the live CD, you know that you must be able to boot from the CD. And I also describe simply how to do it. So I skipped that part. So simply insert the CD-ROM and reboot the system. Little here and there, we are ready. So, time for a boot. Time to make a choice. Here you choose the language, here choose try Ubuntu, here install. We should install, so we choose install. I normally not download updates under installation. That make the installation take a little longer, and you could download the update later. Now you could choose between three things. Here you add in the hard drive the manual way. Here you replace Microsoft Windows XP with Ubuntu. And here you choose side by side. We choose the top alternative. Here you could choose the hard drive. You will have one, so there is not much to choose. And here you choose how much space the two operation systems should have. I simply move in this part. I satisfy with the default, so I simply continue. And now they want to assurance that you know what you're doing and prepare to split the hard drive. This processing of installing and splitting the hard drive takes some time, so we speed up this process a lot. Here you choose the time zone. And here the keyboard. You could also let the system detect the keyboard by pressing certain key on the keyboard, but not simply choose it in the menu system here. Username of some sort. And a password. We speed up the speed a little here, so it goes faster. The installation is finished. Time to reboot the system and see if it works. And now remove the CD-ROM from the CD-ROM driver. And it has been removed. And you should press enter after that. Here you have a menu where you could choose different things. Here you start Ubuntu. Here is Ubuntu in recover mode. Memtest, which are a testing program for testing your memory, and Windows XP. Let us see if Ubuntu works. Time to log in for the first time. I hope we remember the password now. Everything working fine. Time to take a look what have happened with the system. The boot sector have been changed as you saw earlier, so we could boot either Linux or Windows. Here is your hard drive. You have now two partitions, this one and this one. This one contains your Windows file system and Windows system, of course. Here is a partition called extended. I can explain this. A hard drive have only 4 partitions at its maximum, but using an extended partition you could place logic volume inside, like they have done here, and you could have many more logic volume in an extended partition. So that is simply a walk around for the problem of only have 4 partitions. However, here you have your Ubuntu system and the root system too. Swap partition, there you have swap space. The good thing is, if you have problems booting Linux, you could boot your system with a live CD, connect a USB hard drive and read out the file from this partition, and after that reinstall the system. Here you have the same possibility, because Linux could read Windows partition. The bad thing is Windows could not read Linux partition. So if you run out of space in this partition, you have no use of the free space in the Linux partition. Another problem is Windows could come up with the idea that your license is not valid anymore if you do major changes to your Windows system, like adding a hard drive and removing hard drives and memories and stuff. So if you have a license, for example, student version, which could only be installed once, this effort of trying Ubuntu is maybe not the best choice for you. But if you have a license which could be installed several times, you could simply say, alright, let us try Ubuntu, and after that we simply reinstall the whole computer from scratch and install Windows again. Next step is to test if Windows still working properly, because that is probably your primary operation system. Simply reboot the system and choose Windows instead of Ubuntu when you come to the boot menu. This could be a little interesting. Windows could be a little crazy when you split the hard drive and take away a part to use for Linux instead. So it's normally taking one reboot at least. But now we should see what happened. Yes, it will check the hard drive. We'll simply let it check the hard drive. The system doing a reboot again. Yes. The system have discovered new things, so we need another reboot. Yes, everything working fine. The Windows system is now working and we could use it as well as Ubuntu. That was everything I have to show you. Thanks for watching and please subscribe.